So when I started my career in this industry, my number one goal was to be thirsty for knowledge. Try to add as many things to my toolbox as I possibly could. My name's Jake Ross. I was an avionics electronics technician, second class petty officer in the United States Navy, and now I've been in the welding and fabrication industry for the last 7 years. My current role is a distribution sales manager for Hypertherm. During my military experience, I started off with going to boot camp in Great Lakes, just north of Chicago. From there, I went to what we would call A school in the Navy, where I learned basic avionics. After learning basic avionics, I got stationed in the Pacific Northwest on Whidbey Island on Naval Air Station Whidbey. Welding's a really good career for veterans that are returning home because, you know, it's a technical skill. You know, this isn't something that you're gonna learn overnight, but it's something that can be a career for a very long time. And the need for welders will always be there because we'll always need to be able to fabricate metal. You know, some of the skills that transfer from the military is, you know, project planning, where you gotta plan out what you're gonna particularly do with a particular project. Time management in terms of, you know, we have a deadline that we have to meet. So there's a lot of skills that transfer from the military that are general skills that will really help you out in a career in welding. Yeah, I think there's a big misconception that if you're going to be a welder that you're going to start off welding, you're going to be stuck welding in the same booth every day, and the reality is that that's just not true. One of the things that I did was I wanted to learn a lot more about robotics. So when I learned more about robotics, they transitioned me into a role that was more focused on supporting our robotic end users. And from there, it was a great pivot point for me to move into a sales career in a territory where robotic welding was extremely a big part of the market. So there's really two sides to the welding industry. You have the hands-on side, and then you have, which the hands-on side I would classify as the technical side of things, and then you have the business side. So one of the things that you do on the business side is, with a technical background, you're looking for technical solutions for end users, customers that would be using equipment, for instance. And on the hands-on side, you're actually physically providing that solution, whether it's at the customer or doing a test in a welding lab like where we're sitting right now. So one of the huge advantages of being a veteran trying to get in the industry is we have the GI Bill, or the post 9/11 GI Bill, and you can apply that a few different ways. One way would be to do a formal 4-year education for being a weld engineer. We also have 2-year welding educational tracks, and then another thing that you can do is you can do a technical school where you can get back out in the field in a year or less with doing a formal technical school. Now, another option that's out in the industry is a lot of these manufacturers that are a little bit larger, they may actually have an in-house welding training program where they'll actually teach you the skills that you need to be successful in the workplace. So one thing that I would say is if you're a person who really likes to work with your hands and you want to be part of a thriving industry, you know, a career in welding is a really good choice. What I would tell you is getting in the industry is, you know, I got out of the military, and one thing that everyone does when they get out of the military is they decide to not have a job. And for me, it was heading from, you know, the Pacific Northwest back to Michigan, where I was born and raised. And, you know, I told my wife, we got out of the car on Interstate 80, and I told her, I don't know what we're doing, but I'm going to make it work. And for me, you know, the profession of welding has been how I've made that work. Promise kept.